you a bit too busy to go racing again?
Well, I was, because I used to manage a lot of drivers with Mark, and I handed him my bit of the business back, so he's carried on that and added young footballers to it. I used to do DC's contracts up until 2008, so that was busy. We had some car dealerships, had a villa in Spain, had a million things to do, and I switched them all off, basically. So cleared some space in the diary and we're going to Daytona. We were testing last weekend in Florida, had a really good test, the four of us in the car, and we're back there in about 10 days' time. Really looking forward to it.
It's a fantastic coup for Daytona in the 24 hours. You've won it before, of course, and I think you finished second. In the 2 times you did it, you were first and second.
Yeah, should have won it twice, because never satisfied racing drivers, are they? But 88 we won it, and we were a bit lucky to win it in 88. I remember we had some problems, and we just aced all the yellow flag periods and came back to win the race. I was unlucky not to win it in 90. We were 5 minutes ahead with an hour to go, and the head gasket went on our Jag, and we had to stop and lost some time, so we finished second. But yeah, it's a tough motor race, the hardest race I ever did in my career. I'm hoping now that there's 4 drivers in the car, despite us being super fit athletes, we'll get to the end of it.
Mark, have you done Daytona before?
Never.
No. And in the test, how was it?
It was good. Quite honestly, a little bit of nervousness when we turned up, because we looked down the pit lane and we saw these big names like Jimmy Johnson, Dario Franchitti, Scott Dixon, some big names in American racing especially. And I thought, okay, well, we're coming back out of retirement basically, and we're up against these big boys. But to be fair, once we got ourselves tuned in, the pair of us, we really got down to sensible lap times, and it was very, very good.
You're driving for United Autosports, a new team set up by Zach Brown and Richard Dean. Did they come to you fairly early on?
Well, I did a race last year, the Spa 24-hour race, which was my sort of comeback race after 7 years away. And Zach and Richard asked me if I'd be interested, and I jumped at the chance. Always wanted to do the Spa 24-hour race, as I wanted to do Daytona, and that's really how the whole thing came about. And Martin, myself, we know Zach for a very long time, and it just seemed right. And of course, this is the first time ever that the pair of us have driven in the same car. As opposed to us driving against each other in the same team or against each other in sports car racing. So it's a little bit of a novelty.
You have reignited the commentator's nightmare, haven't you? The Brundle,
in Japan. In Japan,
Japanese commentators particularly didn't like us. They got very confused with our names. But we get mixed up all the time. He once sat in my first class seat on an aeroplane and refused to move when they gave him my seat. I went to Japan in 51J, and he was in 1A sitting in my seat. But I've forgiven him for it, that's why I never mention it. But we do confuse a few people. It's good to be back with Marky. We were teammates in Formula One. I remember meeting Mark on the pit wall in Montreal in 1990, the sports car racing. I'm like, hello, I think we've got quite similar names, haven't we? We've been mates ever since, teammates at Brabham and Ligier. We worked at ITV together, been in business together, so to share a car in a race is going to be a lot of fun, and very competitive, of course, between us. We both want to be the quickest one.
So you've tested the Riley Daytona prototype. They're what do they like to drive? Got big, heavy engines.
Well, lots of torque. They're doing about the same speeds, lap times, as the Group C Jaguars used to do. That I was there 1 minute 40. That's an average speed of 130 miles an hour approaching. So they're not slow. Doing 195 off the banking, you use both ends of the Daytona banking, then there's a midfield. And I'd heard that they were difficult cars to drive, and maybe the new tyres weren't working very well, but I have to say, I really enjoy driving it. I thought it was a good car. It's got paddle shift now, no ABS, no traction control, so you have to drive it. You have to look, you have to mind the car. It'll soon spin round on you, which is how racing cars should be.
When you headed out onto the banking for the first time in the test, did it all come flooding back to you? You hadn't been there for 20 odd years. It
did. It's amazing how it's like riding a bicycle or swimming. Once you do it, and once you find out how to do it, you never forget. And I had this amazing high, this adrenaline fix of putting on the overalls, helmet, the funny hands device things you have to wear now, walking down the paddock, feeling 10 years younger. And you get in the car with some trepidation. Can I still do this? I don't know. It's funny how however many times you've done these things, you still have this slight self-doubt. It's what drives you on to do something better. Most sports people I've met have a self-doubt, actually, that makes them deliver something very special. And I jumped in it and just felt completely at home within a couple of laps, frankly.
Mark, is it a one-off for you, Daytona? Are you going to do any more with United?
He forgot to tell you that I set the car up for him. That's why
Martin,
it was so good.
Martin said to me backstage, there's nothing that you could ask me that I wouldn't be able to answer. Depends where we
Yeah, he did set the car up, but we'll have that fixed before the race, don't worry.
Are you going to do any more?
I'm not sure. I really don't know yet. As I say, I wanted to do Daytona. I wanted to put that on my CV, and I thought, well, I was sort of still young enough, I might be able to manage it. Chance to drive with Martin in the same car is a little bit of a dream come true, so very happy about that. And possibly, if we come out the end of it, there might be some other races. I've got a couple of conversations already with people who are interested to look at the future, and maybe Grand Am, maybe LMS, maybe a little bit of stuff in Europe again. But we'll have to wait and see. I've got a couple of other businesses now that take up quite a lot of time, and I'm responsible for other people's careers.
Grand Am's attracted a load of really good drivers for this race once again. Is it the appeal of the event itself?
It's a big race. Daytona 24 Hours, sponsored by Rolex, has been around a long time. It's the first race pretty much of the calendar, so everybody can get their eye in. But, Montoya's driving, Frank Kitty, Scott Dixon, Michael McDowell, Jimmy Johnson. There's some big names there, alongside somebody like Martin. It's a headliner, and, there's a lot of great guys who have won it, as Martin did many years ago.
You're just after the watch, aren't you?
Yeah, do you know what? It's funny you should say that, but in 88 they didn't give a Daytona watch, but in 90 they did. Jan Lammers and Andy Wallace have got one. He'll have sold his by now if he got one anyway. I'll be on eBay on the Monday morning. But
yours is.
There is no, I just want to finish the race, and I want to finish in the top 5. It would be a solid result for us. I think if we get to the end, we'll be somewhere there or thereabouts, qualifying the top 10, and just enjoy ourselves. I said we're driving professionally. We're being paid to be there, and so it's an expensive program. So it's not for fun. It's not just playing around. But at the same time, we're not in an F1 team representing 1,000 people and 400 million euros worth of investment. We're not working for a major manufacturer that needs to win and sell cars. So we can enjoy it as well as have a professional race team around. It's the perfect scenario, which is why I'm smiling so much about it.
And I guess if time allows, you'll do a bit more, if it goes well.
I would. My dream is actually to race at Le Mans with Alex, and if Billy's in the car, well then great as well. So I don't appear to have lost too much speed, it seems, and in many ways I think I'm a technically better driver than when I was a professional, because I've had 14 years observing F1, observing Coulthard, observing my son being trained up on all the data acquisition, driving style, braking profiles and all of that. So I would love to drive some more, and it helps me in the commentary box as well, to stay current and just to remind yourself what it's like charging down to turn 1, 3 abreast, and what it's like managing the traffic and all the things that I want to stay in touch. I still drive F1 cars from time to time, but it's good to race as well. And I just can't park the need to race. I've tried, but I can't. So I'll have to go back racing.
You've been doing it most of your life. You don't just suddenly start disliking it, do you?
No, some people can just walk away and they have a success and they never look at it and never dream of jumping back in a car again, which I find bizarre. Others just want to do it as long as they're physically fit and mentally fit. And I had my eyes lasered 2 or 3 years ago, and so I got Superman vision, thank goodness. Hello. Unfortunately, I can see his shirt.
Yes.
So, physically I'm still fit enough. It doesn't scare me at all to drive the car. I think you get to a certain stage. I mean, when you've been used to stepping over the side of a Grand Prix car, you'd park mentally you knew you might get seriously injured or killed, less so today than back then. But so, if you get injured, you could get injured driving here today or on an aeroplane or whatever. I believe in fate in that respect. So it doesn't scare me. I'm more than capable of driving the cars at 200 miles an hour. And I still have a great determination. He was 200 quicker than me in the test. And that really gutted me, to be honest.
I bet he didn't shut up about it, did he?
He did mention it a couple of times.
You still got the bug then, Mark?
I only mentioned it, once every hour on a 10-hour flight. No, I have got the bug.
You're a bit younger than him, though, aren't you?
I'm a little bit younger.
You should be
yeah.
quicker.
Yeah, definitely. I've always been quicker. No, it's difficult to give it up. It really is. And, I did sort of the 7 years of live television alongside Martin. And that's a great buzz to do live TV, but it doesn't come close to driving a racing car. And I think that's part and parcel of what we miss as drivers. You grow up with that. And then when it goes away, it's a big hole in your life. So to get the opportunity to come back and do a big race like Daytona, great. Top it off with being alongside one of your best mates, even better.
Do you feel some sort of obligation to help young drivers in racing? Obviously, you set up 2MB with Martin originally, and to manage and guide drivers and offload all that experience. You feel it was your calling?
I think it was just right to put something back into the sport, and we set up that business. We're the founders of it, and we've helped several drivers. Some of them are managed commercially by us, and some of them who haven't been. We've helped them just because we felt that was the right thing to do. But I'm a big believer in British talent. I think there's a huge amount out there. Unfortunately, I don't think there's enough funding to go with it, and that's not part and parcel of what I'm good at, finding money. But if I can help somebody to make the best use of it in their racing career, then that would give me something to be quite happy about.
It's horrendously expensive, isn't it? And the choice for a young driver in single-seaters is unbelievable.
It's a big decision-making process year after year because there's so many different formulas, and honestly, I think there's too many formulas. But you've got to consider it's from karting, finished karting, and then go into the big wide world of motorsport. You're probably looking at about €5 million to go from the bottom level to GP2. So you're not even at Formula One yet, and you've gone through that kind of budget spend. So somewhere along the line, it's a sponsor, it's a family, it's a commitment from investors. It's a huge amount of money, and lots of people don't make it.